Good evening. Tonight we look into a quiet revolution taking place behind the closed doors of the music industry, a corporate landscape notoriously ruthless toward young talent. For decades, the blueprint for global superstardom required signing away your creative identity to a major label. But a massive shift is underway, sparked by a vocal prodigy who chose an entirely different path. Angelina Jordan stunned audiences worldwide with a haunting, old-soul voice, and mainstream executives immediately moved in to manufacture a standard pop icon. What they didn't expect was an investigative narrative of defiance that is currently rewriting the rules of entertainment. But what really happens when a generational talent enters the corporate meat grinder? Our investigative unit has uncovered that behind the glamorous curtain of high-profile television victories and major label showcase invitations lies a hidden environment of intense creative containment. Sources close to high-level industry development projects indicate that when an authentic prodigy enters the corporate system, the pressure to conform to rigid market trends is almost immediate. Internal strategy meetings often demand that unique acoustic performers abandon their signature artistic identities to chase volatile digital trends, hyper-edited vocal tracking, and repetitive streaming algorithms. This hidden friction creates an intense, unspoken conflict behind closed doors, away from public view. Promising young talents are frequently faced with a brutal ultimatum from legal teams: surrender total control of your musical direction to fit a predictable commercial mold, or risk being completely shelved, effectively freezing your career while your contract remains active. For an artist deeply committed to the raw purity of vocal expression, this suffocating environment felt less like a career launchpad and more like a beautifully constructed prison sentence. The standard major label framework essentially demands a complete forfeiture of intellectual property, turning authentic human emotion into a manufactured, focus group commercial product designed solely for quarterly profit margins. But as these corporate demands grew increasingly restrictive, a definitive line was drawn in the sand, setting the stage for an unprecedented industry showdown that would stun traditional executives. That line in the sand would trigger a sudden operational shift that corporate executives never saw coming. Industry insiders began reporting a highly unusual, quiet separation between the vocal powerhouse and traditional Hollywood backing structures. In a calculated move that left veteran talent managers completely baffled, the definitive decision was made to walk away from multi-million-dollar marketing funds, high-budget studio sessions, and guaranteed mainstream radio placement networks. This wasn't merely a minor creative disagreement over single selection. It was a total severance strategy aimed at achieving absolute, uncompromised artistic sovereignty. Choosing to self-produce, self-direct, and maintain exclusive ownership of master recordings is a massive financial risk that even the most established global icons are terrified to attempt in the modern climate. Operating independently means funding every single project out of pocket, working without the traditional safety net of major global distribution networks, and lacking the built-in media leverage of a legacy conglomerate. Yet, the commitment to long-term creative freedom over short-term manufactured hype was absolute. This calculated rebellion sent an incredibly clear message to the entertainment elite: raw talent can no longer be bought, bartered, or controlled by corporate boardrooms. This bold declaration of independence established a dangerous precedent for the status quo, but as any seasoned investigative reporter knows, challenging a multi-billion-dollar monopoly always triggers a steep, immediate price. And the industry's quiet retaliation was as swift as it was silent. When an independent creator refuses to play by the established rules of the major corporate players, the path to the general public is suddenly blocked by invisible structural barriers. Dedicated followers quickly began to notice a strange phenomenon across digital platforms, questioning why an undeniable generational talent with a massive, proven track record wasn't being featured on highly visible mainstream playlists or plastered across major city billboards. Speculation has intensified surrounding a corporate containment strategy, a subtle, quiet blackout where powerful media networks and streaming playlist curators deliberately look the other way when an independent release drops. By severely limiting mainstream media amplification, the entertainment elite attempts to send a severe warning message to other rising creators who might be considering a similar rebellious path away from standard contracts. This subtle containment strategy relies entirely on cutting off the oxygen of public visibility, forcing independent operations to fight aggressively for every single stream and algorithmic impression. The financial, operational, and emotional toll of navigating this systematic industry resistance would break most ordinary creators, but it instead forced a radical evolution in how this independent movement delivered its art to the global stage. A new counter-strategy was deployed, moving the entire operational battlefield away from corporate radio syndicates and directly into the highly loyal digital underground. This strategic pivot proved that the old gatekeepers had completely underestimated the power of a modern global community. By entirely bypassing traditional distribution networks and mainstream radio gatekeepers, a massive grassroots operation was successfully mobilized through direct, transparent digital engagement. This effort wasn't about engineering temporary, viral internet gimmicks to capture fleeting attention spans. It was about cultivating an unshakable lifelong connection with millions of dedicated listeners across multiple continents. The resulting independent data speaks volumes, showing hundreds of millions of completely organic streams and highly successful international live performances achieved entirely outside the traditional label framework. This direct-to-fan operational blueprint effectively neutralized the leverage long held by corporate music executives, proving to the world that authentic art will always find its audience when the corporate middlemen are entirely stripped away from the equation. The undeniable success of this autonomous model has started sending massive shockwaves through corporate entertainment suites globally. For the first time in modern media history, a single independent artist has successfully demonstrated that an international high-impact career can be fully sustained without ever bowing to institutional pressure or surrendering the rights to a creative catalog. This realization has triggered an intense wave of anxiety among legacy executives who fear their long-held monopoly is permanently crumbling. Now, major label executives are watching this independent trajectory with a distinct mixture of fascination and absolute terror. The blueprint established by this modern vocal icon represents a direct, systemic threat to the traditional entertainment business model. If a single independent creator can successfully retain absolute ownership of her valuable master recordings, maintain total control over her visual presentation, and still command a deeply dedicated global audience, it exposes a massive, fundamental flaw in the corporate structure. The multi-million-dollar advance contracts offered by major labels are suddenly being exposed to the public as restrictive financial traps rather than golden career opportunities. Emerging artists and established industry veterans alike are now closely studying this sovereign trajectory, realizing that the traditional gatekeepers might officially be obsolete in the digital era. The balance of power within the global music industry is shifting in real time, causing a massive, quiet panic among legacy boardrooms as they realize their historic ability to control, mold, and financially exploit global talent is rapidly slipping away. The ripple effect of this quiet revolution is extending far beyond a single artist or genre, signaling a broader, structural shift across the entire global media landscape. An evolution driven by audience authenticity that corporate mandates can no longer stop or contain. The era of the compliant, manufactured pop star is facing an unprecedented existential crisis. By choosing absolute creative freedom over the safety net of corporate backing, Angelina has provided a definitive masterclass in modern artistic survival. This investigative look into the mechanics of the music industry proves that sovereignty isn't an impossible dream, but a viable, disruptive reality. It leaves us with a compelling question as we look toward the future of media consumption. How many of your favorite mainstream artists are currently watching this blueprint from behind the walls of contracts they deeply regret? The foundation of the entertainment world has officially cracked, and the era of corporate control may be coming to an end. I'm signing off. Keep questioning what you consume.